Hi, my name is Brenda Titus. I'm a professional hypnotist in Orange County, California. For information about myself and my program, including in-person sessions, please go to my website, ochypnotherapy.com. And welcome to Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office. Today we are going to talk about what happens when Superman falls. And as a little bit of a background, I've been doing kind of a series on superheroes. It's kind of, inspired by some pop culture, as we've had a new Captain America movie come out recently, the Thunderbolts, and this summer there's going to be a new Superman movie. So there's a lot going on, and I also just thought it was kind of fun. And so I wanted to think back to the 70s when the image of Superman was Christopher Reeve. Now, that is the Superman that I grew up with. And he was good looking, and he was strong, and he was powerful, and he was Superman. And then, unfortunately, in the early 90s, he had a terrible accident. He was an equestrian rider, and he had a terrible accident on his horse, and he became paralyzed from the neck down. And so for the rest of his life, he was in a wheelchair. And it was really hard for, especially I think for people who had just grown up for so long watching, literally Superman, and it just felt like he just came crashing down to earth. But the reality is that sometimes, despite our best efforts, despite how hard we try, despite how hard we work, despite how amazing we are, things happen in life that are going to bring us back down to earth. In his situation, it was a tragic accident. In other people's situations, I mean, aside from a car, you could have a sporting accident, a car accident, I'll stop there. But an accident, a terrible loss, finances, losing, the house, having bankruptcy, some kind of thing where in our normal lives where we come, like I said, just crashing down to earth, that even despite, how hard we work, how hard we try, we just can't make the mark. And it feels like a fall. And so what do we do in those moments? Now, the thing with Christopher Reeve is that obviously he went through a lot, and I'm sure he went through a lot emotionally. The grief and the loss of his mobility, and his his ability to make money the way that he used to, and the injuries, and it can just be such a deep emotional experience. And then of course going through all of the physical recovery that was necessary as well. And of course he recovered as much as he was able to. So I think that at some point he really became an advocate, though, for people who have spinal cord injuries, and he really advocated for research for what more can be done for people. And so he was able to use the his Superman persona that people looked up to, and be able to educate, to be able to advocate. And I just think that that is so powerful. And so I always, want to remind people that, even in our deepest struggles, that as we, turn around and we get to a place of healing and recovery, we might be able to help other people through those times. And then, even though maybe we've crashed down to earth, we might be able to rise above all of it. And so that I thought was an interesting little story to share today as we are here in the hypnosis office. Now, as kind of a side note, when you think about when we crash and when we fall, some people might feel like, especially people who are maybe strong and feel like they're so resilient or so used to taking care of things on their own, that it might be a sign of weakness to seek help. But actually, I want to remind you that it is a sign of strength to seek help, whether it is emotional support, mental health, getting physical help from a doctor, even getting help from, family and friends. So it is actually a strength to ask for help and to allow yourself to be vulnerable to receiving help as well. Actually, when I think about what I get to do in the hypnosis office is that ultimately by helping people through their difficulties, we're able to reconnect them to their strength as well. And that is one of the wonderful things that I love about being a hypnotist, is ultimately when people feel like they have fallen, they have struggled, and they need that help, and they reach out, they reach up, and I'm able to help them, then I'm able to reconnect them to their strengths in so many ways. And that is a wonderful gift. And I'm so thankful for being able to have that here at the hypnosis office. So with that, I hope that was an interesting topic for you. And I hope that if you have felt like you have fallen and you need help getting back up, that you are able to reach out somewhere to get help, whether it's with a hypnotist, whether it is with a mental health provider, or even family and friends. And remember that seeking help is a sign of your strength, and it might even reconnect you to your strength. And with that, I wish you a wonderful day.